What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Sit Down Saturdays. This one really shouldn't be too long, and I mean that this time, but there is some interesting things about this that I wanted to discuss, and I mentioned in the Springer video, people seemed like they wanted to discuss it, so by all means, let's go. Quick heads up, per usual, I won't be responding to comments. I don't respond to comments on discussion videos, but feel free to leave them. I will read them as usual. I don't think there's anything controversial I need to discuss about the Springer comments, except maybe one or two, but one or two isn't really worth mentioning. Did I just mention it? Look. This started off with images that surfaced of this side swipe, this masterpiece scaled side swipe, which immediately made me go, Turns out it was a knockoff company, so it makes sense. That's a jab at knockoffs, per usual. That video is coming. I just need a little break in material to cover. And I'm thinking next week for Sit Down Saturday, maybe do a TFCon third-party panel recap if there's enough material. I haven't done one of those in a while. Needless to say, I thought it looked terrible and pointless. But I will admit I didn't pay too much attention to the fact that the hood could be both on the front and on the back of the vehicle, which should have clued me in. Anyway, shortly thereafter, images of X-Transbots breakdown begin to surface. And this thing is very G1. Per usual with them. That's what they do. They go for a very G1 sculpt, similarly to Masterpiece. Not in build, mind you. And I'm a Stunticon freak. They are my favorite characters. I love their team loyalty, their nihilistic behavior, and their general attitude. I love how they're loyal to themselves first and kind of to the Decepticon cause after that. So I'm in. Regardless, I'm in. But we're going to talk about it a little bit. This TFM Stunticon set, the Motor Master just hit. I should be looking at it soon. I'm getting it from Manolo. But it just hit, and rumors are circulating that the combined mode is not shaking up well at all. Like, quite poorly. I haven't looked at it yet, so I don't know. And I won't be combining it till I have all 5. But the word on the street is not the best. But even if I wasn't in on that set, I'd still be in on this set. And even though I am in on that set, I'm still in on this set because I love Stunticons, I buy Stunticons. Truth be told, between you and I even had the Combiner Wars G2 Stunticon set. I can't take it out of box, so I just can't bring myself to do it. Don't want to have to look at it again. But I'm just a sucker for that team, so I'm a collector. I have a focused collection of Stunticons. I have the Bot-Con set. I have the Bot-Shot set. Anyway, this looks good. This breakdown looks good. And then shortly thereafter, the Wildrider surfaces. Now, people began to put it together that this side swipe looked a lot like this breakdown. More importantly, the price began to surface that Keith was planning on charging MSRP $40. Now, here's where things get interesting. So, I think Keith has made a statement along the lines of he's doing it for some fan service, people have been loyalty to the brand so they can see the new quality that they're headed in, and yada yada yada. I don't buy it. I don't believe it for a second. I'm going to buy the set, don't worry about that, but I don't believe this sentiment. He's a very business-minded person that is obvious in everything that company does. That being said, I can't see him just saying, you know what, I don't need the extra $60 per unit. I'm going to go ahead and just charge $40. Now here's what makes more sense. The word is that someone in Keith's camp left or got fired, or I don't know anything about that, so I'm not going to speculate, and took those designs with them and have kind of knocked them off already. Now, I say that to say this. I think Keith is putting this out at that price point to be like, I can beat you there too. I can beat you at that price point. Now, that's really interesting. I love stuff like that. And I think that Keith thinks I have it out for him, that I don't like it. When I've bought most of Keith's products, Keith should be appreciative of my money, I feel like. But I think he thinks I have it out for him, and that's not the case. I do feel as though there are issues within that company, but I also feel like Keith has put out a lot of good stuff over the last year on the KFC side of things. I think Reflector was good. I think Transistor was good. I think the Junkions were good. I think the okay, so at least those 3. On the X-Transbots side of things, I was having this discussion with numerous people recently, and I'm not sure if they've ever put out a great figure. To me. And to many others that I've spoken to. They've put out a good figure, and I think that Scourge is probably their best figure. I think there's a pocket of kind of good enough figures. Arcos, the Beachcomber, would go in that pocket. Apollyon might go in that pocket on a good day, at least in aesthetics. Windcharger and Tailgate might go in that pocket. And Cyclonus might go in that pocket, but none of those are great to me, and to most of the people that share my sensibilities in regards to that. But they're good. Scourge is could have been great and is very close to it, but I think that that's the best product X-Transbots has made to date. That being said, I think they've made a lot of poor products also. So it's concerning to me, the idea of X-Transbots having difficulty getting one figure right and now having to put out 5 figures that stick together to get right. I hope it doesn't come with a silly putty add-on. But regardless, I think they look good enough where I'm going to keep them in bot mode if combine mode doesn't work out. Before we get to combine mode and bot mode and all that, I have to divert for a bit. So I think that even though Keith thinks I have it out for him, and I would argue that that's not the case. I'm just critical of everything, and I think that he has cut a lot of corners throughout his process, but I've definitely praised products of his when I think they've been deserving of that. The truth is that I really despise knockoffs and the knockoff culture. And if you don't understand the difference between a knockoff and a third party and you think that they're the same, you don't get it. Hopefully you will after my knockoff discussion, but take my word for it. Take my word from your old Uncle Skullface, you don't get it. I think this is priced purely to screw over this knockoff company. That being the case, let me tell you how much I'm behind Keith on this. I am tempted to buy 2 of each. Just to say I will support someone doing something as opposed to someone stealing something. The stealing, we can get into the intellectual property, but that's a discussion for another time. It is happening. We're going to be talking about Mickey Mouse, and we're going to talk about all the problems that come with copyrights and intellectual properties throughout history. But for now, we're going to keep it with the Stunticons. So I am in Keith's corner 100%. Keith, if you're listening, I'm behind you, Mac. I'm behind you on this one. I think that that's a real tough move to say, screw you. You steal from me, I'm going to get the product out. I'm going to get the product out faster. I'm going to get the product out maybe cheaper, and I'm going to be more unique about it. Keith, you're speaking my language, baby. So I'm behind him on this one. I'm saying it now, so if I trash the figure later, you'll know that my bias isn't playing a fact. So let's talk about the combiner element of it. The combiner size is going to be a little bit shorter than the Toy World Devastator, which I do find to be a bummer. It's going to be more in scale with this unique Toys Bruticus, which is going to be a slightly smaller scale, which isn't really what I want. So I'm hoping that Zeta might do something. I think their aerial bots that are coming look tremendous. I think they look absolutely stunning, and I can't wait to do it. And, you know, I think that the Zeta Toys Bruticus looks great, but I think their Combaticons look terrible. But I'm still in it for that scale, and I'm a little bummed that this Minosaur is going to be a little shorter. Now, I'm sure there's going to be people that say, wasn't Minosaur always shorter? The answer is not really, not in the cartoon. In the toy, yes, but not really in the cartoon. If you feel as though he should be shorter, then that works for you, Mac. By all means, enjoy your purchase and enjoy your combiner. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do it. My ultimate plan for my Transformer collection is to have all my combiners lined up on one shelf, and I don't know how I'll feel about a little divot in the road, if you know what I'm saying. That being said, I'm still tempted to buy 2 of each just because I support the notion of Keith potentially being screwed by a knockoff company and turning the tables on a knockoff company and screwing them first. I just think that's a very cutthroat move that I respect. In terms of their Wildrider, I think it looks just as good. It looks in the same vein. It looks just as good. The things that I'm worried about with this set are the male-female pens that X-Transbots likes to use, the lack of paint, and the poorly engineered or poor materials that end up becoming problematic for a finished piece. But I think they look good enough where in bot mode it won't bother me. And if they're even stable, maybe combined mode won't bother me either, being a little shorter. But there's no way to tell that now. But this knockoff stuff gets very shady, and I'm hearing very nasty rumors about this new Skyfire knockoff coming. So like, I just think this is historic, right? Usually we're used to a company producing something and then the knockoff company affecting them negatively. I know there's people that say that, like there's like Toy World, people have been accusing Toy World of giving their designs to PP, or is it BB7 or BB8, PP2, I don't know all these knockoff companies, but I think that all you guys should think about that for a minute, and I have it on good merit that that's not the case. If you were creating a product, you wouldn't sell a similar product to a knockoff company to compete with your product. It doesn't make financial sense. But, you know, people will believe what they believe. But usually that's what happens, right? A product is created, the knockoff company comes along and negatively impacts the product being made by the original designer. What's happening here is the knockoff company maybe exposed their hand a little too quickly and allowed Keith to circumvent it and potentially destroy the knockoff company from ever being able to compete. Keith, I know we've had a checkered past, but I'm looking and I'm liking. Till next time, take care.